I don't think so. All right, we are live. Hello. We're just getting set up here. Go live.
Oh, I forgot my coffee.
Oh, no. All right, I think we're ready now. I think this looks good. Yeah. Okay, well, while you're doing that, I will greet everybody. So, hi, guys. Thanks for joining us today. I don't know why it just looks different, but I know it's working. It just looks different today. But hi, welcome. We're so glad you guys are here with us. Brian is getting his coffee, the essentials. So I hope you guys had a great week. I know here it's been a good week. It's just been kind of raining on and off, and today we were looking outside and we were getting some kind of a storm, and then it's just been kind of raining on and off. So, but that's okay, I guess it's just this time of year. So yeah, hello Mom and Dad. Thanks for tuning in. I'm glad you guys are here. Thanks for doing that. Yeah, if you guys are live with us and you want to say hello, please do that. That would be awesome. So then you guys can interact with us and we could talk to you a bit, and that'd be really good. So if you want to say hi if you're watching, that would be awesome. All right, guys. Well, Brian should be here any second. I will go ahead and do our little recap here. Hopefully you guys don't hear any background sound. We opened up a window because it actually feels colder in here today than it does outside. So I hate to turn our heat on because I think it's like 70 outside. But yeah, I don't know. So we've got this window open. All right. Okay. So last week we were talking about having relationships with Christians, with other, like having Christian friends and people in your life that you can talk to and rely on and interact with, and just having those firm relationships, people you can grow with spiritually and help hold each other accountable. And I know our challenge from last week was to reach out this week, wasn't it? To reach out. Yeah, our challenge to you guys was to reach out and see if you were able to connect with anyone. Because I know especially during this time, people have felt a little bit disconnected, I think. So we were just talking about how important it is, to connect with people. Are we dark? Should we turn that light on? It just feels dark in here today. I don't know. I'm going to fix this angle a little bit. All right. Oh, Tim's here too. Hi, Tim. Thanks for joining us. Tim's here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I was telling people to please say hello so we know who is watching and we can talk to them. Yeah, I think that's better.
Oh, okay, good.
All right, we got some light action going on. Okay. Yeah, and then so another thing we talked about last week, have there been times where people sought biblical fellowship with you and then maybe you declined and had something else going on? And we just kind of talked about that, and then basically just challenging you to reach out to people and see if you can find a way to connect. So that's mainly what we talked about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So are we ready to get started?
Yeah.
I can't believe we're diving into chapter 7. We're week 7 to this. This is so exciting.
Where's the time going?
I don't know. The time is just flying by. All right. Well, Mr. Brian here is going to pray for us.
Hey, Mr. G.
And then, he's
Mr. G.
He's Mr. G. All right, Mr. G is going to pray for us, and then we will get started.
Okay, Lord, thank you so much for this time and having us dive into chapter 7, Alicia's words. And thank you so much for having us here together, even though we're not actually together. But let us speak your word through us to these people so that they may see you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay,
Right.
so chapter 7 is a good and faithful steward. It makes me think of my college band director. We need to be good stewards of marching in time. That's what I used to say.
You did say that.
Yeah, so, but it's not about band, alas. It's about money.
It is about money.
It's about money.
Okay.
All right, so So Aaron and Jennifer are the people who wrote the book. They are like Aaron's like a pastor guy. Jennifer's his wife. they started off a little bit rough, and a lot of the book is kind of about the rough patches and what we need to do as married couples to kind of get through these patches. So Aaron and Jennifer started to have money issues, but they wanted to serve the Lord even though they were having money issues. Basically what they were having is, when you make money, and all of you out there know this, when you're doing your bills, you need to make more than you're actually spending. So if your bills are $800 a month, but you're only bringing in $600, that's not very good. That's what they were doing. They were actually paying more than what was coming in. So they were losing money. So eventually they were going to be in the negative, which is not good. Yeah. So that caused a lot of fights with them. They had to make this big decision of what we were going to do or what they were going to do. So they decided they were going to leave their rental house. They were going to leave everything and move back to, where was it, California or something? They were living out of state. So they had to drive over 2,000 miles to her parents' house to live with her parents. I don't know if it was rent-free. I have no idea. I don't think it says anything in the book about that.
Say that.
But they did make that decision. Mm-hmm. So that helped to save some money. They also got full-time jobs, both of them. They also were wanting to start a nonprofit organization to build roads in Africa so people could get to the drinking water easily. But that didn't happen either because they didn't have any money to start this nonprofit.
And that's what they were originally doing. I think they were living in Canada.
Oh yeah,
and they weren't bringing in enough money, so they prayed about it and decided to move back with their family. And both got full-time jobs. I don't remember exactly what jobs they were and if even they were interested in those jobs, but they basically got jobs so they could pay off the student loan debt that he had.
Yeah.
So, and I think they worked a photography business on the weekends.
Oh, yeah, too. They did.
So they were basically working a lot, trying to pay off this debt.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So money is the number one, well, I should say, among married couples, among all the married couples and all the things married couples actually fight about, money is actually the number one cause of fights. Or I shouldn't say cause, but that's what people fight about the most. Mm-hmm. So we need to be careful about this. Money can actually derail your marriage. It can derail relationships with your friends, relationships with the rest of your family if you are not careful. It can stir irritation. They call it stirring the pot. I'm going to go stir the pot. You don't want to do that. Okay, so money, it can do that. Here's two ways that I think that you can stir that irritation and it can ruin you, is if you become so much invested in money that that's all you think about. You wake up in the morning thinking about money instead of thinking about your pretty wife or your wonderful husband. You think about money. Or if you think about, like, let's say, instead of thinking, man, it's a beautiful day, or I got to get this and this and this and this done, like we all do, especially guys, we're very task oriented. But instead, you're thinking about how can I make that money today? Okay. That's not very good, I guess.
You don't want it to consume your thoughts to a point where that's all you're thinking about all the time is money.
Yes.
Right.
And then the second thing is that you're going and trying to do more. So you're getting 2, 3, 4 jobs to make more money just because you are so consumed with it. It's not that you don't need it. It's the fact that you're so consumed that that's all you do. That can ruin your relationship because you're spending more time with your money, making money, than you are trying to help build your relationship. So it's really a tricky situation. We all need money. You want to buy a house, you need money. You want to buy a car, you need money. Okay, you bought a house. Your house is empty. Well, you want a TV, you want a couch. Well, what about a stove? What about the necessity stoves, fridges? Well, you need money to get all that stuff. So it is a necessity, but I think it's kind of one of those like those necessary evils. Like
Yeah.
it's evil, but you need it. Kind of, I don't know. But anyways.
I see what you mean, though.
Yeah.
You need it, but you don't want it to be consuming your mind to where that's all you're thinking about.
Right. So Aaron and Jennifer had some school debt, kind of like a lot of us, kind of like we do. And
but it was his
debt. Yeah. And it was his, like, that's where his mind always was where that debt was.
He felt like it was his burden that he brought into the marriage.
Yes.
You're probably gonna say that.
Yes.
Sorry.
It's okay. So he says paying off my student loan was not as easy as we had hoped. Our budget was extremely tight, our bank account often empty. However, during the season of our marriage, we focused on building a strong financial foundation, confident it could help not only in our marriage, but also God's kingdom. During this time, God was teaching us the value of money, what his word says about it, and how to be in control of our finances instead of finances always controlling us. Okay, be in control, not letting the finances be in control. Okay, so God, or the question is, can God use a person or a marriage that is in debt? Absolutely. But a better question is this: is it God's perfect plan for someone's life and marriage to operate in debt? Not at all. God has called us to freedom, and being a slave to debt is not freedom. This pursuit of freedom lit a fire in my heart to aggressively pursue getting out of debt. And I think that's good, too, to aggressively pursue getting out of debt.
Mm-hmm.
God doesn't really want us to be in debt. God wants us to be free. He wants us to be able to use our resources. So we really need to think about that. So we need to trust in God and trust his life lessons. So check this out. However, he is also a loving father who desires that we grow up and become wise and mature men and women. If God had just taken away the debt, we may never have learned to be financially prudent. This is something my dad always talked about too. Like, I can't just get you out of it because you'll never learn. God desires us to be faithful stewards of the resources he has placed in our possession. This was the lesson he had for us to learn, and we wanted him to trust us with what he gave to us. So they wanted God to be able to trust them with money and resources in order to bless other people and use it for his blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes. So there are three principles about finances. Be on the same page is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is practice a debt-free lifestyle. And number 3 is to be generous. Okay. So being on the same page, what does that mean? You probably know what that means. It doesn't mean that we're going to read and be on the same page. We are going to be on the same page as far as our thoughts, our wants, our beliefs, all that stuff. So check it out. Instead of accepting the debt as both of ours, deep down, Jennifer felt the debt was solely mine, and she shouldn't have to be punished for it by sacrificing things she desired to help pay it off. She wrestled with bitterness over the debt I brought into our marriage. However, now that we were married, we needed to work together to get rid of the debt. The fault for the debt didn't matter since we were now one. The debt was ours, not mine or hers, but ours. This is something I struggled with in the beginning of our marriage because I felt like I was bringing in so much more debt than she was. And again, this is not a competition, but I always worried about that, about, I'm going to burden my significant other with all of this debt that I acquired in college. And it's, for me, it was stressful, but it's not just my debt and it's not just her debt, it's our debt. And we decided before we even got married that we were going to join our accounts and have my money be her money and her money be her money. Ha 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 ha.
Hey now.
So,
all the money.
You get all the money. That's how it works.
No.
She says no, but you guys know it's true.
But we'll talk about how I don't like to spend in a little bit. So,
yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So we joined everything together, so our money is all together. So when I get paid, she gets paid. When she gets paid, I get paid. Really, she gets paid, and all that stuff. And that's how that works. But in another twist of it, that means that we take on each other's debts. We take on each other's finances. And that's something we're trying to do right now. We've gotten some smaller loans paid off. Now we're tackling some of the kind of small loans. We're trying to get those paid off. And we're just really just pushing towards it to get this thing working.
But that's important though, that was important for us that we became one. So, his debt is my debt and my debt is his debt. And that really worked for us. Because then you never have to be like, well, there's no bitterness there. There's no resentment, because if I would have always just saw it as, well, he got us into all this debt. I would have felt like, oh, I can't do this. I can't spend this money because of his debt. And I feel like it would have just been this kind of resentment that we would have had.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like that we just, from the beginning say, okay, we both have debt and we're going to tackle it together because we're married, we're one, and that's what we're going to do. And I think that was really important.
Right. Because
it'd be really easy to just be resentful. And I don't want to do that.
Right. So this is Jennifer. Jennifer says, I blame my immaturity with spending, saving, and giving on my childhood experience of being raised in a family that had very little. Aaron, on the other hand, had a better sense of how to manage finances, paid attention to our budget, make sure our checking account was balanced. He also exhibited more self-control in his shopping. That's typically a guy thing, is to have self-control, to make sure you know where every dollar is going. Me, on the other hand, I wasn't like that. I had $500. I went and bought a PlayStation. I had $500. I went and bought myself a whole new wardrobe, because that's how I worked. She, on the other hand, she gets $500 and I'll go, ooh, what are you going to do with it? How are you going to spend it? She goes, I'm going to put it in the bank account. Like, really? That's boring. But
or with gift cards.
Yeah, or gift cards.
It takes you 2 years to spend a gift card.
Yeah, it takes forever to spend a gift card.
So you have to get that perfect item that I just really, really want.
But I can't talk though, because I have a gift card that I got, I think, 2 summers ago.
I think so.
But anyways, so I had a way of spending that was very immature. And because of that, I got myself into a lot of credit card debt. I paid off that credit card debt before we got together, thank goodness.
Mm-hmm.
But it put me in a financial situation where I couldn't do anything. I couldn't go out. I mean, I had so much credit card debt. I literally could not do anything. But I got it paid off. It was very freeing. It was awesome. And then school started. It's like, oh, student loans. All right.
But you grew so much from that, though.
Right.
We can look back on these experiences and not be regretful, but just think, wow, that was a time where God really taught us, about finances and how to grow. So, I mean,
yeah.
He had a lesson in there, and look where we are now, you know?
I know, I got better.
Well, yeah, we all improve. We're always trying to be better.
Still improving, though.
We all are. It's a daily thing.
So, in our beginning of our marriage, we didn't talk about money that much. And when we did, it was short spurts, like maybe a minute or 2 minutes, because it would be stressful. Like, I don't want to talk about money. I don't want to talk about this anymore. And then we would just kind of walk away.
It was stressful.
It was stressful. But now we're at the point where it's something we talk about. And I talk about money, not a lot, but it's like whenever we do the bills, or I do the bills, I'll mention something or say, what do you think about this? What do you think about fronting however much money towards this bill or something? Mm-hmm. So we do talk about this, but they said, although we found it stressful to talk about money, it was an area of our marriage we wanted to fix. So we need to be on the same page with our money, and that means it needs to be communicated. There's no, I'm going to buy this treadmill behind her back because I really want this treadmill. I deserve it.
Oh shit.
You can't do that. You can't do that. And they actually had a really good budget for that.
And yeah,
So they also said that we also discovered that unless we talked openly about our finances, thoughts, and feelings surrounding it, then we would inadvertently work against each other. And this is something we do. We talk about the finances. We talk about how we feel about the finances. We talk about why we want to spend this or why we should save this and why, so that way we have a plan of what we're doing instead of just her asking me, why did $50 get spent, or why do we have, $100 more in our savings account than we did yesterday or whatever.
Yeah.
So she knows where all the money. Now I mainly, I don't want to say I control the finances, but I do like all the bills and the thinking and stuff behind that. But I don't let her go astray by just trying to just take control. Okay, she knows where that money is. She knows where everything's going. She gets it. So plus she can't hide from me because our credit card is connected to my phone. So if she makes a payment, I know about it.
And now that's real tricky when it comes to birthdays. Because if I put it on our card, he gets a little text message on his phone. I'm like, oh,
you just
great.
bought this amount of money at this place.
Yeah, that makes birthdays really tricky. And Christmas. I didn't get creative. But can I say one thing real fast? It said God used our financial crisis to draw us back to his word time and time again. And it just thought that was so interesting because how many times does that happen? We go through a crisis, whether it be financial or being anxious about something or depressed or whatever it is, and he just draws us back to him. And it's like anytime you have any kind of a problem, it's like seek his word, seek God, and he's going to help you. And
right.
I love that. It's like they used that time where they felt like it was a real crisis, but he used that time and it just brought him back to his word. So I thought that was really neat.
Yeah, I think that's neat too.
Yeah.
Jennifer and Aaron says that we talked about how to make a better budget. We strategized ways we could get out of debt faster. And we do this a lot. We talk about it pretty much once a week of how to invest in something or what to tackle as far as debt. The more we persisted in communicating about our finances and praying about it, the more we inched our way to being on the same page. And again, that's the whole thing, is being on the same page. Okay. The big thing is have you tried praying? So if talking about it doesn't totally work, if he or she kind of runs away from the situation, try to pray about it. She says this to me all the time. If I'm stressed or something, she's like, did you pray about it? And I'll say, no. She's like, well, there you go. That's your problem.
Oh my gosh. I sound awful.
No, you don't.
I hope I don't actually sound like that, but
You do tell me to pray about it. She's like, did you pray about it? And I'll say no. You'll go, well.
Well, because if we have a problem, we're like, what are we going to do about it?
Right.
And it's not, no, it's, okay, God, what should we do about it?
Right.
It's seeking him first, not like doing it our own way and letting us swim and not get anywhere.
Right.
It's like, just go to God first.
Right.
Because he's the one that's in control.
And she teaches me a lot on that. Because I'm
sorry, especially in quarantine.
She does. Oh, especially in quarantine.
I know.
Especially, but she really helps me focus on God and how God is helping us get through these issues than to put the whole issue on my shoulder and how am I going to deal with this. It's like, well, go to God with it first before you even try to deal with it. So, and
I think it's probably harder for men though when it comes to finances, men feeling like, and I think you guys were designed this way to feel like, you want to take care of the family. You want to feel like you're supporting the family. And if you're not able to provide, that was the word, provide. You feel like you should be providing for the family. And I think if men feel like they can't, or they lose their job, or they're not making enough money, I think men feel that burden heavier than women do.
Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, like, I hardly think about money. Like, I mean, unless he brings it up, I just don't really even think about it. So I don't know if anybody else wants to comment on that, men versus women, how you guys feel about money. But I did a Bible study, and we talked about the ways men think and the way that women think, and I think that men just feel that burden more.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be why you tend to think about it more than I do.
Makes sense. So with prayer, this is cool. I got this out of the book. And it says prayer is an action towards unity that should not be neglected. So we should not be neglecting prayer.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
I just got that.
Oh yeah.
No, prayer is an action.
Yeah.
Action is like taking action. It's like a verb. Like you're
Doing
doing something.
it.
So praying is doing. Sometimes we might feel like, oh, we're not doing anything about the situation, but if you're praying about it, that's active. You're doing something.
Yeah. Yeah, you're doing it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, you can keep going.
Okay, so they also said there is no need to point the finger, blame, or figure out who is at fault for messy financial situations. Instead, focus on your oneness and work together as a team. Support each other and stick to the plan you have agreed on. Be one in the way you budget, spend, save, and give. Okay, be one in all those things. Okay, so they put themselves on a budget. Now here's a little bit of their budget, what it looks like. And we were on a budget like this for a little bit too, until we got raises and stuff because of our jobs and all that stuff. But what we did was create a simple budget where we broke down everything we needed to spend money on, which included rent, groceries, gas, phone bill, anything else that was a necessary expense. Removing the mystery of where our money was going was crucial. We agreed on a $10 allowance per person per week for things like gum and coffee. We also agreed to limit how much extra money we were spending, and we decided we would discuss any purchase of $25 or more. And I think that's really smart. If you're going to buy anything that's over $25 or $20, you got to talk about it first. Just simple things like that. We also added on our budget a line item for giving, and we prayed about how God wanted us to use that money to practice generosity as a family. That line item was a certain amount of money that they wanted to give all the time. And giving doesn't necessarily mean give to the church. They would give maybe to the church, or they would give to somebody in the church who needed that money. Or maybe somebody, just had a baby, and what do you do to families who just have babies? You make them food and take them all this food. So maybe they would take that money and they would buy food, and they would take that family a ton of food. Like, that's a way of giving. So that's kind of things that you could do. So that's probably what they were doing. So create a budget is a big thing for trying to be financially stable. I feel like we have a budget now, but it's not as strict as it used to be. It's a little more loose, but we also don't go out and spend a whole bunch of money on the weekends and stuff. We're not going out. We're not partiers. We're not,
we just don't really spend a lot of money.
Yeah. So, but anyways, all right. So the next one, practice a debt-free lifestyle. So this doesn't mean right now you have all this debt and you need to live a debt-free lifestyle. Like, you have no debt. What's up? I'm spending that money. You need to not do that. I'm weird. Let's just leave it alone. Okay. So this means that when you become debt-free, you want to stay debt-free. Okay. I paid off all my credit card debt. Now I am like so focused on not having any more credit card debt. I pay our credit card. We have one card. Actually, we have two cards, but one we only use. The other one is just kind of like an emergency, like emergency kind of thing. But the one we use, I pay on it about once a week. And the money, I transfer money from an account that we have the money in into a bill account.
Oh my.
Oh, it just started pouring.
Are you guys getting rain like we are? It's like really coming down all of a
Yeah.
sudden. Okay.
So I take the money. Let's say our paychecks go into account 1, and then our bills come out of account 2. So I take the money that we just spent on that credit card and move it to account 2 instantly. It's a lot of work. And then after a week, like every Monday, I'll hit pay bill on my phone and it'll just take the money out. But so really, you're going into debt, but you're kind of not at the same time, if that makes sense. But that's something that we do. And we never, ever have credit card debt because of that, because we're trying to live that debt-free lifestyle. We don't want to be in debt. So we have found it helpful to remind each other often of our budget and boundaries. And we do this to each other a lot, more to her, or more from her to me, because I like to spend. We don't use credit cards. We don't use car loans. We save for the things we desire. And one of the most important financial decisions we have made is to be content with what we have. Now, this is them. We don't use credit cards. We don't use car loans. Lots of people use car loans. Lots of people use credit cards. We have 2 car loans, but we have to have 2 car loans just because of the situation that we had a year ago. They save for things they desire, and we do that too.
Yeah.
But you also have to justify if you have a lot of debt, and I want that PS5 that's coming out in December. Oh, I want it, but it's gonna be $500. I'm like, do I really want to spend that $500 on a PlayStation, or do I want to take that $500 and put it towards a student loan? Or put it towards gas money for 2 months or something, so we don't have to dish that out.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. So really keep track of what you're using, okay? And is to be content with what we have. So story time. I love story time. Story time. So here's a story. We went to the Alive Festival. Those of you who don't know what the Alive Festival is, it's a Christian music festival. And there are 4 different stages, and it is amazing. If you like Christian music, you will love the Alive Festival. People of all ages go.
It's really neat.
It's all outside. It's amazing. If you get tickets early enough, like in October, I think it's in June. The actual thing is in June.
Oh.
But if you get them in like October, November, it's actually pretty cheap. If you get them in March or April or May, it's a lot more. So get them cheap. But anyways, there's 4 stages, and you pack up like a trailer or whatever, or pitch a tent. You pack up your tent, and they give you a spot to put your camper or put your tent, and then you can walk around, and they got food vendors there. They got 4 stages, and one stage is a rock stage. One stage is the main stage. One stage has like all your people you've never heard of before, or your solo artists. Like Phil Keaggy was there when we went. And then there was another stage.
A scary stage.
No, that was the rock stage.
Oh, that's a rock.
It was the rock stage.
It was really scary.
And then I can't remember the 4th stage. But then they had a beach area for kids to go on the beach and stuff. It's really cool. But here's the content story. I was so content with what we had with this little tiny grill.
You gotta tell them when we went. We went our first year of marriage.
Yeah, it was our first year.
It was like after we got back from our honeymoon, I think.
I was still in college, so it was during my student teaching.
It was right before student teaching.
Yeah, so I rented from the college. I rented a tent. And it's a small 2-person tent, real dinky. And then we got a grill. I think that my mom
she got from like a raffle or something. I think.
And this cheapo thing that broke after the second time we used it.
It's a real little grill, little charcoal grill.
So we got that, and then we had the van. We had a van at that time.
Oh yeah.
So we packed this cooler in the van just full of stuff. So I'm really thankful we had that van. And then we got there. We were early. We pitched the tent. We got everything up, and I was like so content. I was like, "This is gonna be awesome. We're gonna have such a good time. It's gonna be lit," as the kids would say.
Yeah.
And then I got out of the tent, and I kind of was like, feeling good about us and our experience. And I looked around. I went, they got a bigger tent. They got a bigger, well, what's this like canopy thing they got? They got this huge family, and then somebody rolls this big trailer with like this huge RV camper thing, and with air conditioning and all this. I'm like,
and then the massive like grill right across the youth group.
There's this huge flat top grill, this huge grill, and I'm looking at our dinky thing, going, are you serious?
And they were having like burgers and like pancakes and stuff, like really good food.
I wasn't content anymore.
Yeah.
But here's the kicker. I wasn't content because I saw it. So if I hadn't seen it, if I hadn't taken the time to look around and look at what everybody else had, and that wasn't why I was just looking around. I was just looking around, but then I noticed everything everybody else had. And I'm like, oh, I wasn't content anymore. So this is something that we do. We're very content with what we have. And a lot of times we don't look around. We don't try to look what other people have so that we're content. So Hebrews 13:5 says, keep your life free from love of money and be content with what you have. For he has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. So be content with what you have because Jesus will never leave you. He will never forsake you. We need to be more content as Americans, but we also need to be smart about what we desire. Like I said, with the PlayStation, I have my PS4 right over there, and I play all the time. But again, am I willing to spend $500 on a new system, or am I willing to spend $500 putting towards a student loan that, if we get paid off, will save us, $60 a month, $80 a month, whatever it is? Yeah, I might do that. So, owe no one anything except to love each other. Contentment is what we must desire. The reason most debt exists in the first place is because we are not content. Here's another story. I wasn't content. I was really upset. I got fired from this job, and I just got this credit card. I think I was like 18. No. 21. I think I just turned 21 not that long ago or whatever. I don't remember. But anyways, so I went to the store, and I was upset. I'm just going to buy something. So I took this credit card. I bought a PlayStation 3 when it just came out, and an Xbox 360 on the same purchase. It was like $500 something and a couple games. And then that same month, I couldn't pay all my bills. So I'm like, well, what do? So I ended up selling the Xbox or the PlayStation because, I wasn't content with what I had. So we need to be content. Debt exists in the first place because we are not content, because we are not patient, or because we believe a lie that debt will help our current situation. Sometimes, depending on the situation, I think sometimes it does. But again, it depends on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't just be homeless. I mean, you need a place to live. Personally, we pay rent now, but we want to pay a mortgage rather than paying rent because we're paying into something. Paying rent, we're not really paying into anything. It's going in somebody else's pocket rather than towards owning a home.
Yeah, like we want to have an
investment.
Yeah.
So there is debt that will help your situation, but it depends on the situation. If that makes sense. Okay. Owe no one anything except to love each other. Hey, do you have any comments? I'll do a lot of talking.
Oh, that's okay.
My throat hurts.
I don't think so. I think I'm good.
All right. She's speechless. Every morning when she looks at me, she's speechless.
Oh my.
Because I'm just that ugly.
What?
I'm just kidding. Anyways.
I don't know what to say. I'm just going with it.
All right. Be generous. Be generous. That's the third one, is be generous. So God does not want us to value our possessions more than He is valued. I'm not going to value that PlayStation more than He is valued because He is so much more valuable than that PlayStation, than that headset, than that stereo system, than whatever. Okay? Even if you don't have anything to give, you do. But a lot of times it hurts. So check out Hebrews 13:16. Do not neglect to do good and to share what you have, for such sacrifices are pleasing to God. God does not want us to value our money or possessions more than Him, each other, or others, all whom we have been called to love. And then with being generous, like with giving, it does say in the Bible, I don't remember where in the Bible, but it does say like if you have two of something, give one to the poor. And I think about this a lot. Like I constantly, and I really do this too. I look in my my closet, how it's open, and I just see all these shirts, and they're all these different dress shirts, different styles and stuff. They're kind of the same fit, but I'm just sometimes I look at it and just go, it's too much. Like I could give this stuff to somebody else. And I was gonna do that actually. I think my second year of college, there was a kid that was a bigger kid, one of the kids that I teach, and every day he came to school with like the same shirt on, and I was gonna give him one of my polos, like just to have something else. And then he ended up, I think, getting transferred or something, like the day that I brought that shirt to school to give to him. But if we have more than one thing, we also must be willing to give up one of those things, I guess, if that makes sense. So, but yeah. So check it out. So we had to refuse the lie that we could not be generous until we had more to give. Honestly, if you believe that, you'll never give. It's kind of like what people say, well, I don't want to have kids until I'm financially stable. Some people never become financially stable. Some people are, some people are not. It's the whole being content with what you have. So now check this out. This is in Mark, and Jesus says this poor widow has put in more than all those who are contributing to the offering box, for they all contributed out of their abundance. Talking about the rich people. She, out of her poverty, has put in everything she had, all she had to live on. Jesus was declaring that giving is not about quantity, but rather about motives of the heart. Our motives matter. If our hearts are to please God and fulfill His purposes, we must operate with a conviction that what we have belongs to Him. Everything we have belongs to Him. And really, I have to remind myself that, like, especially when I'm talking about money and I'm holding, let's say, a couple $100 in my hand, thinking about what I'm going to do with it. Like, what am I going to do with my money? Well, it's not my money. It's actually God's money. You know what Jesus said about money? He said, in Roman times, he goes, does anybody have a coin or whatever it is? So they gave it to him, and he goes, whose face and name is on it? He goes, well, Caesar's. Then give Caesar what belongs to Caesar. You ever think about that? Take a dollar bill and look at whose face and whose name is on that dollar bill. It says the United States of America. So give America what belongs to America, but give to God what belongs to God. And God has everything. Everything is His. Isn't that cool?
It is cool.
Yeah, I think that was Laura telling me that.
That was really cool.
Yeah. Sometimes. So one way God revealed to us the importance of checking our motives when it came to money was through a selfish decision with Aaron, made about in the midst of striving to get out of debt. He wanted to purchase a paintball gun. All men want a paintball gun. I want a paintball gun. I had a paintball gun that got stolen by an old friend of mine who's no longer my friend. So this paintball gun was $300. He wanted to pay for it. He's like, I spent months researching the one I wanted to buy, convinced that only one would make me feel better, because in the past I felt successful being on a paintball team. Not only that, I believe paintball would provide me a reprieve from the turmoil in our marriage and the endless hours of work. Although I was seemingly eager to put every penny we earned towards paying down my school loan, I somehow managed to justify this expensive hobby. Unfortunately, I bought the paintball gun and it sat unused on the floor of our bedroom for 4 months. I only ever used it one time. So again, it goes back to, are you going to spend that money on that $500 PlayStation, or are you going to take that $500 and put it towards something that would be a little more worthwhile? And again, not saying you can't buy that stuff, but really think about it. Really think about, okay, what's your ultimate goal? And are you content, or can you be content with what you have? And I like to put it, it's the wants versus needs thing. I want to get that PlayStation, but do I need it? Not really. So, sorry. He even says, looking back on that terrible purchase, which we were not in any position to support, I regret it. But I am thankful for the experience because God revealed him stuff through it. He learned the value of checking his motives, submitting the desires to God, asking him for wisdom, all of that. So he does thank God for that, that time. So so we were learning that the motives of the heart matter. Jesus said, do not lay up your treasures here on earth, where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys and where thieves do not break in and steal. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Okay. There was also a story in the Bible about a rich man, and the rich man, I think, says, what do I need? What do I need to follow you? What do I need to do to follow you? I've been doing this and this and this. He goes, that's great. That's great. But now, do you see all your things? Give them up. Give up everything you have and then come and follow me. His treasure was on earth, and he couldn't do it. He couldn't bring himself to give up all of his stuff. So he turned around and walked away from Jesus because he couldn't give up his stuff. So this is what he's talking about. Store up your treasure in heaven. Have Jesus be the most important thing in your life, not your stuff. Mm-hmm. Acts 20:35 says, we must help the weak and remember the words of the Lord, how he himself said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. 2 Corinthians 9:6-7 says, whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly. Whoever sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. Each one must give as he has decided in his heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. Be cheerful. Hey, buddy, here's $20. Go buy yourself something nice. I don't know. All right.
I don't know what to say.
I don't know either. Being generous is not about how much you and your spouse give, and it is not about what you give. Being generous is about why you give. We want to be generous. We want to bless people because we want to help people come to the Lord. So it's a great conversation starter, but it's also just a way of God's blessing on people, and not like we had all this money, like we really don't. But if we had a surplus and we could say, somebody needed, I don't know, let's say a fresh pair of shoes or something, and then we could show up at their door with a fresh pair of shoes and say, here, God told me to bless you with these, so here's a blessing for you. And there's a couple of times, I've had that happen to me in my life. I actually ended up paying off a car because of somebody in the church, and she said that she felt compelled by God to give me a $500 check, and I didn't even tell her how much I owed on the car, and I was really trying to pay this car off, and guess how much money I owed on the car? $500. I'm like, seriously? That's cool. So I thought that was really neat.
See, and we've been really blessed too.
Yeah, we have.
In our marriage, especially starting out, we didn't really have much, and we were given like furniture and
we get free stuff on accident all the time. Like we got this couch, we didn't pay for this. Like this
I
was
know.
actually given to us.
And like our kitchen table and chairs and it, we just.
Yeah, we were very blessed with a lot of this stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So, so money comes and goes, financial strains come and go, possessions come and go. This life is temporary and brief. We cannot waste time arguing about finances or fighting for what we think we deserve because we work hard for our money. You and your spouse are a gift to each other. We urge the two of you to increase your unity by working together, being on the same page, living a debt-free lifestyle, and being generous people. Be a light in this dark world, showing others that money is not your master, but God is. Okay? Now, in this book, it says Paul had this advice for Timothy when dealing with the rich. As for the rich in this present age, charge them not to be haughty, nor to set their hopes on the uncertainty of riches, but on God, who richly provides us with everything to enjoy. They are to do good, to be rich in good works, to be generous and ready to share, thus storing up treasure for themselves as a good foundation for the future, so that they may take hold of that which is truly life. So Paul is basically saying that if you are a little more well off, to be more generous. He wants you to still be generous, but to be ready. He says, but be generous and be ready to share. And that's not necessarily money. It could be that you have 8 polos. It could be one of those polos. Be ready to share it. Be ready to give that up.
I think he was talking about before too, like giving your time and energy.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, people don't want things. They're not asking for things, but they want your time because, time means the world to people.
Mm-hmm. You ever go to the grocery store, and then you see like this weird guy in the checkout line, and you're like, oh, this guy's like weird. He's just kind of like looking around like this, like he's a cat or something weird. And then you end up behind him in line, and then he starts talking to you, and then he's just blah, 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 he just won't stop talking. Well, that's what he wanted. It was just wanted time. So don't be afraid to give up that time and socialize and communicate and be that person, be that friend. Sometimes that people like. I shouldn't say people like that, but just people, sometimes they need somebody to talk to, even if they're just a total stranger.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
But not everybody has reliable people in their life that they can go to.
Right.
So it might be a complete stranger and it just needs to talk,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're held up for a couple minutes at the grocery store, but those couple minutes might have meant the world to them.
Yeah. So you never know. The goal for every marriage after God is to build a healthy and biblical financial foundation so as to be good stewards and good servants with everything God entrusts to us. So be healthy and have a biblical financial foundation so we can be good stewards and good servants with everything God has given to us. Everything we have, believe it or not, God has given to us. Yes, we work hard for the things we have, but we work hard and God blesses us with these things because we work hard. And then God is basically saying to share what we have. Like what we have is not ours, So it's hard for a lot of people. I know it's hard for me too. Just giving up some of our stuff, but for the good of God, it's necessary to give. So we have some questions. Feel free to comment in the comments below. I'm being weird today.
Am I asking the questions?
Yes.
Okay. Questions for reflection. Number 1, are you on the same page when it comes to your finances? If not, what is one thing you can do to address that problem? So are you on the same page? If you want to answer, you can. If not, it's okay. Just something to think about. So do you feel like you and your spouse are on the same page? And if not, what can you do? And I mean, I don't know, personally, I think one way is just to communicate. It seems to be the answer to a lot of problems. You just have to communicate with each other and talk about things. And don't
Right.
assume that, your spouse is thinking a certain way. Just being willing to communicate and be honest with how you're feeling.
Right. And in that communication, come to some kind of an agreement. So like, for instance, I take care of all our bills and essentially take care of all our finances, but because I take care of it doesn't mean that she doesn't know. So that's the part of communication that we're talking about, is make sure that, each other party, both parties know what's going on with that money. Where is it going? Why is it going there? Stuff like that. Talk about what you're going to pay off or what you're going to buy, why you're going to buy it, and all that fun stuff. So.
Okay, next.
Yeah.
All right, why is it important to pursue a debt-free life and mindset? So why do you think it's important to try to be debt-free and have that mindset of wanting to stay debt-free? I don't know if anybody wants to comment there. If not, that's totally okay. We're just checking. We want it to be interactive, but don't want to pressure people to have to respond either. So. Do you want to answer that?
Well, I was just thinking, because a debt-free lifestyle is like, it's really nice to live debt-free, but then I also, like I said, I also think you almost need some kind of debt. It just depends on what it is. Like when you buy a house, you're paying into that house. Like I don't necessarily see that as being bad debt.
Yeah. I think there's different ways to think about it. I mean, I guess I take it as, debt-free, just when wanting to purchase something, making sure you have the money to support it and not always have to rely on a credit card. Or like maybe even taking a trip. Maybe some people might put a vacation on a credit card, whereas maybe instead of doing that, maybe try to save up each year. So you have some money, and then you feel like, okay, we saved for this, we're going to enjoy this, but it won't feel like, okay, we have this great vacation and now we have to pay it off. That's kind of how I think about it. And I love what people do, like for Christmas, a lot of times, instead of just putting all the gifts on a credit card, people save up all year so they can get their family nice things. And I think that's really neat how people do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's living within your means, because you're budgeting for it all year. You're taking that little bit of money, and you know what you're going to put it towards. So then when it comes time to buy it, it's like, all right, we saved up for this. It doesn't feel like you're just splurging and just spending all this money you don't have.
Right.
So I don't know.
Right.
I mean, I agree, like with a house and, with a car, I mean, that's hard to, if you need a car to get to work, that's hard to just be able to say, okay, here's money for this car. I don't have this money. So, I mean, I feel like car loans and house loans, I mean, I don't know. If anybody has any comments on that, unless you have the cash, but that'd be a lot of cash.
Yeah, unless you have it.
I don't know.
I mean, my grandmother did that too. Mm-hmm. On my mom's side, she really wanted a Pontiac Grand Prix, so she saved up. She
That's
just put through money in their savings account, and she bought the car in cash money.
Mm-hmm. So that's that. Oh, and then part of the debt-free life, the mindset is just being content with what you have. And when you go to buy something, maybe it's big and it's not something you thought about before. Maybe you don't really have that money saved up. Maybe think about like, okay, is this coming from a place of discontentment? Am I just not happy? So I feel like this is going to make me happy. Maybe just think about that, because ultimately things can't bring us happiness. God is the root of our joy and our peace and our happiness, and things just can't do that. Things are nice, but I consider that like the icing on the cake. It's like you're already happy, you're already filled with joy, and you're content. and then you get something really nice and you're just like happier. It's not, you're not happy because of that item that you got.
Yeah.
Maybe I was rambling. I don't know. Number 3, why is it important to be generous? How can you be more generous this week with your time, money, or resources? So why is that important? Why is that important to be generous? It's saying. If anybody wants to comment on that. All right. Honestly, I think it's to show people Christ's love. We're constantly a witness to people, and if we can bless others, if we're fortunate enough to have, money, or like he was saying, extra clothes, or maybe extra food for the week, and we could bless somebody with it, they're going to see Christ's love through that. And that's just another witness. And, you could be really calming their anxieties. They might be fearful because they don't have enough food, or, their child needs something clothing wise and they can't get it. But if we're generous and we give them something, that could really help them and just show people Christ. And then how can you be more generous this week with your time, money, or resources? I know money and resources are important, but I just think of time. I don't know, that always just sticks with me. Because I know just time means everything to people. I know since we've all been home a lot more, I think a lot of people have been communicating, and I know me personally, I've gotten to have really great conversations with people that I've never felt like I had time to talk to. And, we've been forced to stay home and just, be with people and connect with people. And I think that's so important.
Yes.
So, I don't know, do you want to add to that?
No, I completely agree. Time is, I think, the number one thing that you can give to people is time. And, and I'm just pushing the money thing and the things thing, because that's what this chapter is about. But yeah, time is the number one thing. That's what people want. That's what parents want, kids want. They just want time with you. So.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you want to add anything?
No, I'm good.
Do you want to do like any summary or follow up, or we're good?
No, we're good.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Well, sorry this is a bit long. Well, I guess it's about the normal time. Hopefully you guys got something out of that, and things to think about. And you might already be doing all of this, and it's just reassurance that, like, yeah, we're doing this right. Maybe you're doing all these things and putting God first in your finances and your marriage. And if you are, kudos to you. And we would love to hear from you guys if you have a budget that's working, or something that maybe you've worked on in your marriage. Feel free to reach out, because we would love to hear it. We're always looking for advice, and especially from other believers and people in our life. We love hearing from people, and we love, I don't know, we love encouraging others, but we also love to hear wisdom from people who have a lot more experience than we do. So
yeah, we do.
I always feel pretty humble talking to some people who are very wise. So yeah, guys, if you have anything that's on your heart and you want us to pray for, please tell me. I have my journal, just not right here at the moment, but I've got my prayer journal. So if you guys need anything, please reach out. Message us on Facebook, or text, or call us, and we would love to pray for you guys. We really would. So we really, really, truly appreciate you joining in today. If you're not listening live, that's okay. Maybe you're listening to this later in the evening when you have the time after work or something, and that's pretty neat as well. I always go back and look at all the comments, so if you end up commenting later, I will do my best to reply, because I always like to check that out. So I think that's it. I think he's going to pray for us, and then we'll be done for tonight.
All right.
All right.
Okay, Lord, thank you for this time that we have to share. Thank you for this lesson of money, and not only money, but putting you first and putting you before our money and our things and our possessions, and continue to do that. And Lord, I pray that you keep this message in everybody's thoughts and prayers, so we may use it to further please you and use it for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
All right, guys. Well, happy Friday night and happy weekend. Yeah, hopefully don't let the rain get you down. It's just it rains sometimes, but maybe watch a movie or stay inside and I don't know,
Yeah, that sounds
play cards or cook something good to eat. Do something fun inside. So until next week, guys, thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in, and we can't wait to see you next Friday. All right, guys, well, have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon. All right, bye.